Hello everyone, welcome back to another tutorial by Hats Tutors, and in today's video I'm going to be covering what supply and demand is and how the supply and demand graph looks and how it works. So this is one of the most important concepts in economics in my opinion, and it's very important to know even if you don't plan to pursue economics because it kind of determines your understanding of how our markets work and stuff like that. So anyways, to begin, supply and demand is pretty much just the relationship between consumers and producers in a market. That is like the simple way to put it. I'm sure there are more fancy ways to say it, but I feel like that's the easiest way to understand. And supply is the quantity of a good that producers are willing to supply at any given price. And while demand is the quantity of a good that consumers are willing to buy at a given price. Hopefully, this becomes more clear when paired with the graph, which I'm going to show next. So this is a typical supply and demand graph, and this should help better explain what supply and demand really is. So as you can see on the x-axis, there's a quantity of the good, and on the y-axis there's the price of the good. And this curve, as we call it, is the demand curve for this certain good x. So good x can be anything; doesn't really matter for this example. So as you can see, the demand curve is specifically this curve. So when you see, let's say take this point where my cursor is, for example, it's at a high price, and if you go straight down, the quantity that is demanded at this price level, which is pretty high, is going to be really low. And that intuitively makes sense because when something's more expensive, not as many people are going to want it. Well, on the other hand, let's say the price is all the way down here, there's going to be a lot of the good demanded by the people. So that's why you can say the quantity demanded at this price is really high. It's also important to distinguish between demand itself and quantity demanded. So when you say something like demand increases, the whole curve shifts to the right, and that's going to be something that's a little different than quantity demanded going up and down like that, and that's movement along the curve, if that makes any sense. Same thing for supply. So as you can see, when the price is really low, suppliers don't really want to put out a large quantity of the good because obviously they're not making as much money. And while the price is really high, suppliers are more than willing to produce lots of that good. And the dotted lines here represent the equilibrium point, where the demand curve intersects the supply curve. And that's the equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity in the market. And that is the price that the good is going to cost in the market, while that's the quantity of the good that's going to be on the market. So at this point right here, this intersection, it's going to show that suppliers are going to produce Q star amount of good X at P star price, and there's going to be Q star amount of this good demanded at P star price. So this way, there are no shortages or surpluses in the market. And I'm just going to briefly explain what those are. So let's say where my cursor is where the price is going to be. So when the price is all the way up here, suppliers are obviously going to want to supply a large quantity. However, quantity demanded is not going to be high because people don't want to pay that much. So the difference between this point where the quantity demanded is and where the quantity supplied is, that's going to be called a surplus because there's a surplus of goods on the market because not many people want to buy it while suppliers want to supply lots of it. And it's the same idea when, let's say, the price is down here. There's going to be a shortage of the good because suppliers are not going to be willing to produce as many goods at this price. I can go to this more in depth in another video, but I just want to briefly explain what the supply and demand graph was in this video. So anyways, I hope you guys were able to learn something from this video. Please let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and be sure to subscribe for more educational videos coming your way soon. Thanks.